Hey everybody, welcome back. And we're talking with the very lovely Holly Ott. Holly is a financial mindset coach. Yes, fasten your seatbelts. We're in for the money talk. So Holly is a woman who in her 20s went from being owning her own home to being broke, homeless, and living in a park. And then skip forward 2 years, and not only was Holly out of debt, in fact, had started to amass her savings again. And as she says herself, a lot can change in a matter of a couple of years. So Holly's mission is to let women know it is never too late to get into the financial game. And whether you want to save for a vacation or retire a millionaire, she's the woman who can help you. We're talking about financial literacy. Holly, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's so exciting. I love this one because money is something that a lot, especially women, tend to like swerve that conversation if they can. And for a lot of people, it's like, you're not supposed to discuss money. It's kind of like crass and crude. Yet at the
Yep.
same time, if you don't have it, you know, you don't pay your bills and there's consequences for that. So everybody needs money. We need to grow our money. We need to amass our money. So talk to me about what is being financially literate about?
So I realized long ago, because I grew up, my father is a doctor and my mom is a stay-at-home mom. And I grew up being that my father told me just to marry rich, that I didn't need to know finances and everything. And so that's kind of how I grew up. And it's not what I want our generation now to
No.
know. Like, and even my age and older and everyone, like, it's never too late to learn finances and learn about your bank account. And I just, yeah, being financially literate to me, I mean, I'm in America, so only 34% of Americans have a basic knowledge or more than a basic knowledge of finances. Like half of them don't even know how to balance a check card or checkbook anymore. And not that we use checks.
Checks anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, just to be able to keep track of a ledger for your
Yes.
finances. And I talk about high yielding savings accounts all the time. And people are like, what's that? Or getting a bank account on a brick or with a brick and mortar bank versus online, and just the different advantages to one or the other. And I'm here to kind of bust through that wall of why.
I love this. I absolutely love this because there's so many people leaving school, leaving college, who don't know how to read a payslip, who don't know what their
Yeah.
taxes are, who don't know anything about this, and then they get their first job and they get this wonderful paycheck and they think this is great. And unless somebody has said, stick some of that in your savings, they're going to get a shock
Yeah.
further down the line. Yeah. Okay. I'm just loving this. I'm loving this conversation already. Because this to
Well,
me this is one of the crucial conversations that needs to happen in life. I
mhm.
think this is one, and financial education is a big one for me. I just think it's a great thing for people to learn. It's the accountant in me, I think. We just like to love numbers.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, I'm not sure how it is over in Ireland, but finances aren't taught here. Like,
No.
no one teaches it. You have to go to college to learn it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like
Unless
the
you're
only
studying,
people,
yeah, yeah. Unless you're studying it here, it's not taught. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's like the only time you get free advice online and whatnot are from like the ultra rich. And then it's all just contradictory to each other. Like, buy 15 plots of real estate, or don't buy real estate, buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And I'm
Yeah.
just trying to make it that it's easy for everyone to understand. I try not dumbing it down, but using like non-banker lingo to be able to understand your finances and whatnot.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. See, this is just like I was looking forward to this one for ages and ages because this is one that I think is really important. So tell me, like there is this notion, and it's here in Ireland, I'm sure it's in every country, I'd say, in the world, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And it's a
Yep.
mindset thing that people have, that if you don't have money starting out, if you weren't born into wealth, that you can't accumulate wealth. Tell me how you dispel that for people.
Well, like I said, I was born into money, but I also, like you stated, I was homeless living in a park on a bench. So just because you're born into it doesn't mean anything. And I mean, doing a little bit of history lesson here, like if you, I'm sure everyone's heard of the Rockefellers, one
Hmm.
of the like richest families
Centers.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also at the same time as the Rockefellers were the Vanderbilts,
Hmm.
and they were just as rich, but they didn't do the same things as the Rockefellers. And within 30 years of Cornelius Vanderbilt dying, the whole family was broke.
Hmm.
Like, and when Cornelius died, he left his son over $2 billion worth of money in today's standards. That was 1877. So you can imagine how much that is then. And between him and the grandchildren, it was gone within 30 years. And that's the thing, that if we don't know how to use it and manipulate it and just make it work for us, it is gone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you
Mhm.
can be living paycheck to paycheck. Like 36% of people who make 250,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck in the US.
Wow.
And yeah. And at that point, it's not a money issue, it's a spending issue.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I feel like not just in America, but everywhere is a spending issue. Like we're told you need this, you need the better,
Yes.
this isn't good anymore, even though you bought it just 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how often is iPhone kicking out a new
Yeah.
one and the newest one is like $1,900? I'm like,
Yeah. A big drop
$1,900
in
for a
the
cell
screen.
phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And I won't spend that because I'll drop it and smash the screen as sure as I buy an expensive. I know it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen.
exactly. And it's like, it just makes me think of my Nokia from when I first started getting a phone. It was like this big, and that sucker, you could run it over with a car and it would still
Yes.
work.
Yes. Yes. I had one of those. You play snakes on it and do all those things. And I'm pretty sure I still have it somewhere. And if I turned it on, I'm pretty sure it would work. Yeah.
It's probably
Okay.
still in my parents' basement somewhere, but
So,
yeah, I mean, like we were saying that the rich get
mm,
richer and the poor get
yeah.
poorer. It's a mindset. And like the rich get richer because they know to put their money in assets versus liabilities. Versus, I mean, because I mean, a cell phone is a liability. You pay
Yeah.
$1,900 for it and drop it on the ground, and it's just an overpriced paperweight.
Yes. Yeah.
Where if you spend money and I'm going to say real estate, buy some real estate and rent it out, well, that's now producing money
Hmm.
versus just taking your money and having something nice to wear.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with cars, same with clothes, same with shoes, that kind of thing. That if you have it, yes, you think you own something, but it's not generating any value for you.
Yep.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's kind of where it gets in the gray too, like as far as a car.
Mhm.
Because I mean, the second you drive that car off the lot, it depreciates.
Mhm.
But also at the same time, if you have, say, like a 1969 mint condition
Oh yeah.
Mustang,
Yeah.
then
Got a
then that's
collector.
gonna
Yeah.
then that's gonna make you some money. So I mean, you can go either way.
It's
And
like
just
people who
like,
bought the Beanie Babies and held on to them for years in their
God,
pristine places. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, certain things are collectibles and obviously they increase in value depending on trends, mind you. But cars, yeah, watches, that kind of thing. Yeah. But no, I get the point that you're making. I do like it. So, how did you get started in finances?
yeah. So, like I said, well, and you said too, that I was homeless.
Hmm.
And I always knew growing up that I would be extraordinary, not just ordinary. So I went from being homeless, and I knew that wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be that person. And I started to turn my life around, and I've always loved cooking. And I started a company of organic beef jerky.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I started that, and getting into that, I am a person that if I can learn to do something, like in my head, if someone else can learn to do something, then I know I can.
Mhm.
So I wanted to learn how to do my own everything for my company. And if I didn't have to pay someone, I didn't want to. So that again, like the entrepreneurial mindset
Mm.
and everything. I mean, at this point, I delegate as much as I can just because, I mean,
Yeah,
that was
but in
8
the
years
beginning,
ago.
yeah, always in
Yeah.
the beginning, we just want to do everything ourselves to keep those
Yep.
costs down, keep the costs down. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. But now it's like I said, I'm at the point that I delegate and I understand that time isn't money.
Yeah.
Like people always say, time is money. Well, that's not true. Because if that was true, if someone offered you $1 million today, but you would die tomorrow, would you,
Would you take it?
or as soon as you took the $1 million, you'd die?
Yeah,
Like, that's not an even exchange.
yeah.
Like, so yeah, I learned all I could about finances, and now I just live to teach other women and women recovering from life. Because I mean, this
Mhm.
is a topsy-turvy experience that we get to experience for really not that long, if you think about it.
Yeah. True, true. And you really do help people get through it. So exactly who do you help?
Yeah, so I help people with the desire to save and just you. I mean, people say that you can save your way to wealth. Well, yes and no. Because I mean, you can save, and like my high yielding savings account right now is I get 5.94%
Mhm.
back on that as my APY. So yes, like the more money I put in, the more money I'm getting back from it, but that's not gonna make me wealthy. And just like usually the you can't save to wealth is people just saving under their mattress,
Yeah.
like our grandparents used to. And I mean, unless you're saving and building towards like a financial future and retirement, and you have the retirement accounts and everything, then it's pretty much you're gonna not go further in life than where you are now.
Okay.
And
So when you're talking about savings, you're talking about like a savings investment account like that that gives a high yield or something, which
yeah,
nowadays nothing is giving a high yield. So where would you be saying people, women in particular, should be putting their money?
yeah, so I like the way that I found mine, and I keep switching. I'm on like number 5 just because I keep finding ones with better yields.
Hmm.
But first place, just Google high yielding savings accounts.
Hmm.
Because like with a brick and mortar bank account that is a savings account, typically it's only about 0.06% that you get back on it. And people are like, oh, well, how's that work? How is that so low compared to online? Well, if you think about it, online, I mean, yeah, they have employees, but nothing like
Yeah.
in person. And they don't have to worry about keeping the lights on. They don't have to keep worrying about a mortgage or rent.
Mhm.
So that way they can give you more money back.
Okay. So it's to shop around, look for the better high yield savings accounts. And if I decided, okay, I have enough money in my high yield savings accounts and I want to do something else that's going to generate even more, what would you suggest?
So definitely like I'm not sure, do you guys have like Roth IRAs and whatnot over there?
We have the equivalent of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so like this last year I maxed out my Roth IRA, the contribution in July. So it went from last year was 6,000, this year's 6,500, and now next year it's increasing to 7,000.
Hmm.
So, and that is how like America is in the stock market, which pardon me, which so then I have stock through my Roth IRA, which is my retirement. And I typically, I mean, not to go into talking about stocks and whatnot, but I tend to stick with just like the S&P 500, which is a collection of the biggest 500 companies. So it's one of those that I mean, while nothing is guaranteed, you're not putting money into a new business that could completely tank and you lose everything.
Okay, so to translate that to here, people would have pension accounts that they're paying into and paying the max that they can into them, so that they have a better return on their pension when they eventually go to get it. And the other would be that if they're investing in stocks, then what you're looking at is from just translated from America to Europe, which is actually very similar. Then you're looking at just investing in the secure companies, the bigger companies that are more, there's a better chance that they're actually going to be around in 10 years time than
Yeah.
going with the venture capitalists or going with the newer startup companies.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, because some startups, I mean, obviously it could go either way, but like last year I put way too much money into this one that looked like it was going to be really good, and it wasn't. So,
Well, that is the risk, isn't it, though? And it's to not
oh
be
yeah,
afraid of that, like to. So the thing that I was always told was only invest that which you're willing to lose.
yep,
Right. Yeah. So if there's something that looks pretty awesome and you think it stands a good chance, just put in enough that if it does go belly up, you're not going to like freak out. Yeah.
yeah. And like that's another thing too that I touch on in my course
Mhm.
is like allotting for that extra money. Because I mean, a lot of financial coaches and stuff and advisors say like the 50-30-20 rule. So
Mhm.
50% goes to like needs such
Mhm.
as house, food,
Yeah.
car, 30% to wants, and 20 to investments.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, personally, like I don't want for much these
Yeah.
days. So I actually have altered it to 50% of needs, 40% of investing, not only in myself, but in like my retirement
Mhm.
and my savings and stuff like that. And then 10% to wants. So it's kind of allocating different things and moving things around. And you can, thankfully, I mean, do stuff like that. So,
Yeah. It's nice to get to a point where you can do that. But tell me, if somebody's living paycheck to paycheck, right, what would be your starting advice for somebody like that to start amassing some kinds of savings?
yeah, definitely. So, like my first thing is look at what can change. I
Mhm.
mean, if you're spending $1,200 a month on a car,
Mhm.
well, and you're wondering where all your money's going and why you're always broke. Well, that's probably the first thing that should change.
Yeah.
So, and people, like I've talked to people and their car note is $1,200 and they're putting like $800 in gas because it's a gas hog. And
Mhm.
I'm like, why? That's
Yeah.
$2,000 a month that you don't need to be spending like that. But then they get mad at me and I'm like, well, I'm not the one that had you buy that car. So
This is why I wanted Holly, okay? Because Holly is so real. This is why I wanted her. Because she just says, okay, like you're spending way too much there. Stop doing that. And
and
it's just straight up honest. And I love this. I love this. Yeah.
yeah, I can be crass at moments.
You're never crass. You're never crass. You're just very honest.
Yeah, I get to the point. I don't beat
Yeah.
around the bush.
Now you know why I like her.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Or even when I quit drinking, I have an app on my phone for like calculating the days and how much
Yeah.
money I've spent or saved rather. And just looking at that in the 26 months that I've been sober, I've saved over $15,000 just
Wow.
from drinking.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing too. Like, I mean, people don't think going out to eat once a week or twice a week is much,
Mm.
but when that's $100 a time minimum,
Yeah.
it just all adds up. And I mean, like you look at all the streaming
Hmm.
networks and Netflix and Hulu, and I would think you guys have all that stuff over there.
We do. Yeah.
But I mean, and people are like, oh, that's 15, that's 7, that's 10. I mean, that all adds up. So just
It
kind of
is. Yeah. Yeah, we recently did a stock take in this house of how many streaming services we had, and there aren't enough hours in the week for us to watch everything we wanted to watch. So we
Yep.
got rid of a few of them because I just said like, okay, let's pick the ones we're using and let's put the others on pause. We can come back to them later. And that's the thing that
Yep.
a lot of people don't realize is that, yeah, you can restart that later. They don't care. They
Yeah.
just want you back. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, oh, they get you with this startup price of $3 a month.
Yeah.
And then in like 3 months, it goes up to like 20. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like, thankfully on my phone, I don't understand it, but it has like all my streaming networks and all my subscriptions on it for all my apps on my phone too. And I can go through and just like put a hold or delete or whatever if it's no longer serving me. So that's nice too.
So you're living paycheck to paycheck. The first place to start is to look at where you're spending money, right? That's what
Yes.
you're saying. And let's sort of narrow down where the unnecessary spending is going or where cuts could be made without affecting lifestyle so drastically, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to get rid of the gas guzzling car that's costing you a huge amount to pay, you just trade it in, you get something smaller that's more efficient for now, right? And I
Yep.
really want to emphasize the for now piece.
Yep.
Because as your wealth accumulates, you can go back up to buying that more expensive car because the 1,200 a month is something that you'll be able to afford, right?
Exactly.
So now that we've done that, now that we've looked at my paycheck, we've taken out all the unnecessary expenses, I've gotten rid of the car, I've gone for a smaller one, I've cut back down to one streaming service, I don't eat out anymore, and my life is getting really tight here, Holly. But I have this extra cash every week.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the cash that you go straight into a high yield account with?
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's personally what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, look at like that 50, 30, 20,
Mm-hmm.
and if that's how you wanted to go with it. So like 50, I mean, thankfully, like we live below our means for the most part. Like our house, we own it. Our mortgage is only 1,100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like that. And I own my car outright. I paid cash for that. So I don't have a note on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get like 35 miles to the gallon on it. So I have good gas mileage on it.
You know she's
So
driving an economical car, folks. You just know she is.
it's not even, it's a Jetta. But anyway, so it's like my mortgage is only 1,100. I don't have the car payment. My gas is good. I really don't drive that much. But so it's like that doesn't equal 50% of my needs.
Yeah.
So then I can take that lot too that's left over. And like I posted yesterday on Facebook that if I am out grocery shopping and I find a really good deal on anything, well, I take it home and like say I bought 15 pounds of beef fillet.
Yeah.
So I portion it out and put it in the freezer. So then not only like I posted yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, I'm having filet mignon and crab legs because it's a Tuesday. And people
As
are
you
like, how
can.
can you afford? Yeah. People are like, how can you afford that? I was like, well, the crab legs were $6.99 a pound and the fillet was $7.99 a pound.
Yeah.
So,
And the freezer
and
is
it's,
stocked.
yes, yes, we have a whole freezer out in the freezer or out in the garage. So,
We're all going round to Holly's for dinner later. I'm just know it's filet mignon
hey,
and
I'm down for it. I
yeah,
like company.
yeah. We all
But it's like I said, like having that extra, like
Mhm.
from the needs, then that can also go into like the savings account. And because I mean, since I've been sober, have found out that I love to travel. So we have
Nice.
gone traveling quite often in the last couple of years. So that's been fun.
Yeah. So, because one of the things that a lot of clients that I have would say is that getting hold of their finances has been a struggle, and it continues to be a struggle because there's always that unexpected event which happens, and there's never enough of a buffer.
Yep.
So, what percentage do you think people need to have, or is there a percentage we could say that people should have of their salary that people should have put away as a buffer?
Well, that like for the emergency fund,
Yeah.
I believe you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be like the savings account. Like, I mean, like I said, I've had 4 different savings accounts, and a couple of them I've kept stuff in, just kind of like my main savings account right now is for traveling, because there's not really anything else that I'm saving for at the moment. But one of my other ones is strictly
Holly's going
for
to turn up at our
emergencies.
door looking for dinner in our houses soon. Go on, sorry.
Hey, I like Irish food.
Oh, you're very welcome. Come on over a bit.
But yeah, so like one of my savings accounts is for savings, and the other one I dubbed just for emergencies.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like, I always suggest that, I mean, even if you're just putting like $5, $10, $100 into it, I mean, that does add up over time. Just like when we were talking about the streaming services, like it adds up.
Mhm.
And I mean, I tell people to start off with like 5% of their paycheck.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can go up from there. 5% usually isn't too bad of like a ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
It's not too painful. But I mean, you typically want to have like, I mean, if you're starting off, it's nice to have like $1,000
Hmm.
in like an emergency fund, just in case like you blow a tire and you need a new
Yes.
tire,
Yeah.
or the dog swallows something that he shouldn't have and needs to go to the vet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we know that one. Yeah.
Or just like having to go to the doctor and your insurance doesn't cover some medication,
Yeah.
or just stuff like that. I mean, like I don't remember the last percentage, but I think it's 75 or 80% of Americans they couldn't cover a $300 emergency.
Okay. Yeah.
So
One of the I know that a person I had been talking to there some years ago got caught with a funeral bill that
yeah,
they
funerals are not cheap.
yeah, they weren't expecting. They knew that there was money there. They knew there was a bill coming, but they just didn't anticipate how high. And that kind of that ate into every piece of savings that they had, and they were talking about the stress that causes. And this is what we're talking about today is financial literacy, but also stress and anxiety. And the level
Mhm.
of stress that goes with financial hardship, with finding yourself in a position where you can't pay your bills. So can you speak a little bit about how you got affected by that?
Yeah, definitely. So stress, finances are the number one stressor. Like
Mhm.
it's just inevitable, because I mean, you need finances to survive.
Yeah,
I mean, money doesn't buy happiness, but you cannot survive without
exactly.
money.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a stressor and a source of anxiety. And when I first got sober, I had $13,000 in credit card debt because I wasn't working. I was just drinking. And I mean, alcohol is expensive.
Yep.
So I had accumulated $13,000 in debt.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact that if I hadn't had the financial literacy that I did, I would have said, screw this, and gone and bought another bottle.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, not only is that our mindset in active addiction,
Hmm.
but it, so many people don't want to deal with it. Like
Yeah.
I mean, you see numbers like $13,000 and it's very intimidating. It's very stressful. It's all the bad emotions.
Hmm.
And I'm here to let you know, no matter how deep you are, there is hope. I mean, some might take a little longer than others, but like, because I knew what steps to take and how to crunch numbers, I was out of debt, at least the bad debt,
Hmm.
in less than a year.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I mean, like people talk about you don't want any debt, but there is such a thing as good debt, like going back to assets and
Yes.
different things
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, Elon Musk, he is the richest man in the world, and he took out a loan to buy Twitter. He, he took out $1 billion loan to buy Twitter,
Yeah. That says
because
something.
he knows that there's good debt and there's bad debt. You can't get taxed on debt.
Yeah.
So
Excellent point. Excellent point. So, okay, there was one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is that when you find yourself in a stress or an anxiety situation that is maybe financial or otherwise, what is your go-to move to help reduce that stress or anxiety?
Yeah, so I mean, being in recovery, and I have had extensive learning on how to better equip myself in situations like that versus going and drinking or drugging.
Yeah.
But I look at the big picture. Like, I mean, like we said, it's for right now. It's
Hmm.
not forever.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, crunching numbers and living below your means and looking like you're broke, it's not forever.
Yeah.
And being broke because you're paying bills is different than being broke because you're out there buying Louboutin shoes
Yeah.
or an expensive car. It's a different kind of broke, just like there's good debt and bad debt.
Hmm.
And when I have even, I mean, even I stress about finances, but it's like I sit down and I think, what can I do now?
I love that.
Like,
Yeah. What is the action step I can take right now? Yeah.
yep. Like I don't, I mean, you look at the big picture, but at the same time, you look at today. What
Yeah.
is the first step I can take today?
Hmm.
And like I have 8 billion notebooks in my house. So I will make a plan. I am very like, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I will sit down and rate it out. And then also for like our minds, if we can check something off, that is like a dopamine high.
Yes.
So if I write something down and I can check it off, then I know that I have succeeded, even if it's only one thing,
Yeah.
even if it's making my bed.
Yes. Yes. It's a psychological thing. When we tick it off, you get that hit. It's fabulous. Yeah. I
Yep.
love it. Okay. Well, Holly is leaving you with an most amazing gift here today. She's giving you the 7 steps to an emergency fund. Do you want to tell them what that encompasses?
Yeah. So it's pretty much what it says. It goes over how to set up like your emergency fund for your high yielding savings account and just what to allocate into there and how anyone can use it. And you don't have to be a financial wizard. You don't have to be Elon Musk. you don't have to know anything other than what you have coming in for your paycheck.
Yeah.
And even that is like, you don't even need to know that really.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, you should. I would hope after
I
this
hope you
that you
do.
know something.
Yeah. Yeah. So this will be available to all of you again, as always. It's going to be under the video that we're recording right now, or you're going to get it in the email that's coming out this evening. Holly, thank you so much for being with us. It's really been a pleasure talking to you as always. And I love the information you gave. You're a star. Thanks a million.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.